Welcome to the Worldwide Golf Insider Podcast. Hello, everyone. Tom Brassell here. Thanks so much for joining us. First-time listener, first-time viewer, long-time subscriber, it doesn't matter. You're with us. Worldwide Golf, home of that 90-day, 100% satisfaction guarantee. Shop at any of our over 90 retail locations or 24/7 at worldwidegolf.com. Our special guest goes back a long, long way with me. He's originally from Pensacola, Florida. We played high school golf together, junior golf together, and he made a life in the game. I've never met anybody that worked as hard as he has, and I've never met anybody I know that's given back more to the game. He played the PGA Tour. He lived his dream, competed in a few U.S. Opens, was a renowned instructor at Grand Cypress Resort. In 2008, he was inducted into the National Black Golf Hall of Fame, and he is the namesake of the Adrian Stills Award presented by the APGA. I'll let you guess, none other than Adrian Stills. Adrian, great to have you with us. Thanks so much for joining us, my friend.
Oh, it's my pleasure, Tom. It's always good to see you and to talk to you, and excited.
We ask all of our guests that are tour players, our audience loves hearing this one. We all fell in love with this game somehow. You know, the love affair started somewhere a long, long time ago for most of us. Somebody put a club in your hand the first time. You remember back? Can you tell us how that all started for you, man?
Yeah, probably, Tom. Same way with you and all of our little gang here in Northwest Florida. My dad started my brother. My brother's 6 years older, and put a club in his hand first. And, you know, being the younger brother and the youngest of five kids total, I just wanted to do what my dad and my brother were doing. And my dad put a club in my hand. My brother kind of let me tag along. I was like 8 years old. And for 2 years, I couldn't play because of the rules, being you couldn't play on the golf course until you were 12
Wow.
or 10 or something like that. Yeah, at Osceola. So I'd go out there and chip and putt every Saturday or Sunday while they played 18 holes. And then after like a year of doing that on the weekends, the general manager said, "Hey, this kid can go out there. He's not going to slow anybody down." So, by the time I got out there, I was pretty well versed from 20 yards in, right? So, yeah, my dad was the first one to put the club in my hand, and I'm glad he did.
You know, I'm talking about hard work. I don't know if you remember this. I remember it like it was yesterday. We're playing a high school match there at Osceola, and it was the number one players. We all go out together, and then they come in, and then the number twos and the number threes, and somewhere along the line, the coaches do the algebra. They add it all up. We figure out who won, and we were all standing around, and where's Adrian? And then somebody said, he's over there practicing, and you were over there practicing. And back then there's no driving range, right? I mean, it was literally you had your own shag bag, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. It was, I guess you would call it the overflow parking area, grassed, adjacent to the clubhouse. And, it was probably 130 yards or so, but that was my practice field. I wish I had $1 for every ball I hit there, but that's how I was told I would get better, and I just took it to heart.
We knew you were special, and schools come knocking. You know, you probably had a lot of opportunities. Florida State, Florida, Auburn Troy had a great program back then, but you made a decision that I think influenced your life, and from that point on in a positive way. But you made the decision to go with South Carolina State. Talk about what led you there and how that's affected your life.
Well, Tom, it was one of those things. My brother, as I mentioned before, the golf coach came down to recruit 4 players to go start a program at South Carolina State. And I'm like in the 7th grade or something like that. And Kenny Southers and my brother and Hugh Foams and a couple other guys from Pensacola, they go out to Osceola to play with the coach. And I just go tag along. I've been playing, a little bit. And the coach came home and told my mom and dad that your son, Roy, has a 4-year full ride to South Carolina State. And then he, turned and looked at me, and I'm sitting there just watching the whole thing go in front of, because we couldn't afford.
And you're how old at this point?
Oh, geez. So what, 7th grade, 8th grade? I don't know how old you are at that point.
13.
12 maybe?
Yeah, 12, 13.
And, my dad just goes, man, he's floored. He gets a full scholarship for his oldest son. And then his last kid, me, the coach turned and said, all you got to do is get out of high school. You're good. And, this huge relief came over his face. And of course, I wanted to go wherever my brother went. And so, yeah, it ended up being, like, as you said, a great experience for me. When I got there, they revamped the program. Man, I'd only been on a plane like twice or once in my life. And my sophomore year of school, they upgraded everything. We got new clubs. And then we have a meeting. Tom, we have a meeting because we played most of our golf in the spring. And we had a meeting right before Christmas break. And Coach Dawson goes, well, guys, here's our schedule. And, you got going here. We're playing in Clemson. We're playing here. And then it had going to St. Andrews on it. So I'm thinking this St. Andrews, South Carolina, but it ended up being a trip. University of Alabama had put together the conference champions from the United States to play against the top 15 schools in Europe. So, here I am, a sophomore in college, and I'm headed to St. Andrews. Played Turnberry for 2 rounds, a day off for sightseeing, went through Glasgow and Edinburgh, and then the last 2 rounds were at the old course at St. Andrews, staying at the hotel. And it was like, I was already, like everybody else, all jazzed up about what I wanted to do in life with golf. And I get there, and I'm walking across the bridge, coming up 18, and I'm going, this I didn't see this coming, and I go, I guess I'm pretty good at this, and maybe I'm destined to do it. I know it's what I wanted to do. I was already convinced at that point anyway. And now I'm like, man, I gotta shoot for this. So it was a big deal for me to go there, mainly because of the nurturing that the school gave me and the golf coach and stuff. It was awesome.
Well, you knew you wanted to do it, right? And back then, there was no Corn Ferry. There was just kind of all or none. I mean, that's when Q-School was a marathon, right? And I mean, talk about Q-School.
Oh, man. Tried 4 times to get out there. The very first time, you had to go through local, regional, then final. So 72 holes, and then the last was 6 rounds. And I made it to the finals my very first time going to tour school. Birdied the last 3 holes in the regional to get to finals. And I go to the first round of the finals, and I signed the incorrect scorecard, and I'm crying like crazy. And I went back to the golf course because nobody had caught it, and DQ'd myself. But again, I said, hey, this is what I got to do. So, Tom, I tried, another 3 times, got through on the 4th try. And it was pretty cool. I regional, local, regional, and then got to finals. And finals are actually in a golf course called Greenleaf down in Haines City, Florida, outside of Tampa. And that, like you said, it was either get your tour card or back to the mini tours or stop playing. So I get to the finals, and I'm playing the last round, and I birdied 2 out of the last 3, and I'm in a playoff. They gave out 50 cards, and there's 6 of us for 5 spots. And again, just one of those things, man. Divine intervention, persistence, just belief, hard work, and knowing this is what I wanted to do. And they draw names out of the hat, and lo and behold, I'm the first one off on the tee. I don't know if you ever got a chance to play Greenleaf West. It's not there anymore. It's massive golf course, and I hit it. I ripped it down the center and knocked it on the green, and it's par 4. And I've got like a 20-footer, Tom. I got a 20-footer for birdie, and everybody else has hit the green except this one, Peter McWhinney. I'll never forget his name. He staked it right over the flagstick, but it went over the green. So he pitches it back up, and I rolled my 20-footer. I'm telling you, this putt couldn't have been more than it's about 20 inches. I marked it. All right. So he's got the 4-footer, and he misses. So I got, I guess maybe it could have been 1.5 foot. But I got to roll this in for my green, for my card. And, man, I don't know. I think I blacked out. I think I blacked out and rolled it in, and that was it. I got my card and didn't get in the West Coast events until L.A. and got in the Riviera, got in the L.A. Open mainly as an alternate. So I ended up playing with Bob Tway and Willie Wood, my very first tour event at Riviera. Missed the cut by 2, but it was a great experience. I had, for the old people listening, I had Ralph Moth and Flip Wilson following me.
Donnie Most.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And yeah, it was great experience. Played I think probably 23 events that year and qualified for the Open at Shinnecock and missed the cut there. I think like 4x4, made a quad on like the 10th hole the second day. Played with Paul Azinger the first 2 rounds. Paul and I were good friends and made some great memories and great friends, man. It took me all over the world. I think I made 10 cuts and probably didn't make more than like 30 grand. But, that's 1986. They only had 5 tournaments, Tom. There were over $1 million in purse. I know that was 40 years ago, but that's unbelievable to grow for the PGA Tour, what it's done and what it has evolved to, and the people it's helped.
Oh, you got there, right? You got there.
Yeah,
I remember you slept on a Saturday lead one time in Kingsville or somewhere, didn't you? Proceeded you on TV there. Looking back, would you change anything, or would you do it? Would you do it the same?
Oh, I do it exactly the same. I was so distraught when I lost my card because I was right there in Palm Springs at the finals, and I shot like 39 or 40 the last 9 holes and missed getting my card back by 2 shots. And it just devastated me. Went back and played some mini tour golf. My wife and I were, getting settled. We just bought our first house, and I'm saying, I don't know if I want to keep trying to do this. I mean, I had been, on and off the tour and playing mini tour stuff. So if I had done anything different, I probably would have continued pursuing it on a hard level. At the time, Grand Cypress was just opening up, and they had a teaching, state-of-the-art teaching facility, and they used to let me practice there. And while they were opening the teaching facility, the guy that was chosen to run the teaching facility by Jack Nicklaus and Phil Rogers was a guy, Tom, I played in the Southern Juniors at Perdido Bay with, Fred Griffin. And Fred goes, "Adrian, you here?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, we're getting ready to start this teaching academy." And they made me an opportunity to learn to teach. And I said, "Oh, okay. I can stay in Orlando, make a decent living, still be around golf in a great facility and stuff." So if I had to probably do anything over, I would not have jumped on that job so quickly. But it turned out great. Met some great people, did some great things through that also.
You talk about divine intervention in my 30,000 feet looking down. That's kind of where Adrian Stills 2.0 started, as far as giving back and you getting the joy and satisfaction of making others better players. Some average players a little better. You taught some real good players too, obviously during that time. But Pensacola is always home. You got back there. You started the First Tee program there, correct?
I did. We moved back here more because of health issues with parents and stuff. And I came back and actually I was teaching. I was doing a lot of corporate golf outings. Actually started a company called Executive Golf Events to transition from Orlando to Pensacola. We had bought a house here. I was teaching at Sandestin Resort, and the DuPont company was a big component of what I used to do and teach in Orlando. But they followed me. They followed me and another guy, Eric Eschman, who's now PGA secretary, from Orlando to Prattville, and from Prattville to down at Sandestin Resort. We did 15 golf schools a year down there. So I'm doing that for about a year, and then the opportunity to start the First Tee comes my way. So I'm going, okay, well, won't have to drive back and forth on 98 anymore. And that's how I got back to Osceola. Right after that, the job opened up at Osceola, and I took the job as a general manager, head pro there, while running the First Tee also. So yeah. And giving back. Shoot, game's giving me more, man. There's no way I'm supposed to be doing what I'm doing except for the fact that somebody said, he's pretty good at golf. He loves it, and he can do a lot of things with it. So that's the way I look at it.
You and I spoke the other day before we talked about doing this interview, and divine intervention came up, and you said that word earlier today. Mm-hmm. APGA. I mean, this is really, really something that gets the antennas up. From what I'm reading, this started with a conversation. Tell us about how this all started and what this is all about. This is fascinating.
I get a call from my brother-in-law, actually, my wife's brother, and they want me to come out to Vegas to do a golf clinic. They were hosting a weekend event for the foundation group. It was called the Advocates for Improvement and everything else. They wanted me to do a golf clinic for the Boys and Girls Club of South Vegas. So the weekend was get the kids in. They would do a roundtable discussion about careers and college and those kinds of things. Feed them lunch, and then the kids would have a chance to talk to all of those guys. And then my portion was to do the golf clinic part. But I did that, and then that was Saturday. Then Sunday was the guys teamed up, 2-man team thing, and they gave out all these prizes and stuff with the Advocates members. I mean, these guys are so accomplished, Tom. I had a rocket scientist in my group. I had a guy that used to work for NASA, and he'd go, "What do you do?" "I'm a golf pro." So the CEO, Ken Bentley, goes, "Adrian, how come we haven't had an African-American get through the qualifying school to get on the PGA Tour since you did it 25 years ago?" And at the time, I didn't even know of such a statement. So I said, just the high cost of playing competitive professional golf, mini tour golf. And I said they used to have these little tournaments that guys could play in, and the Lee Elders and the Charlie Siffers and all of those guys, they traveled around and played these weekend events in city to city, and they probably were gambling for more than what the purses were. But by the time they got to where they had an opportunity to go try to, they had the rabbits then, you could go out and try to qualify for a PGA Tour event. By the time they got in a situation where they were ready to do that, they were sharpened. So Ken goes, "Well, let's recreate that." I go, "Okay." So we started off with 3 tournaments. I borrowed my good friend Michael Cooper from Tampa, and we had the first event, and it just kind of took off. That was 16 years ago. And we had a total purse of about $40,000, and now I think we're at 1.8 million with 18 events. And the Adrian Stills Award was that was a Ken Bentley kind of thing. And the board of directors. I continued to do the health or the golf component because each tournament was a mini tour event for 2 days. But the first day, while the guys were out there playing golf, I would do the golf instruction component to one of the groups that we had, First Tee or Boys and Girls Club or whatever. So that was the formula. That was the agenda for every one of the events. So it just continued to evolve. The foundation got bigger and better. And then I don't know how many years. I guess we're on year 3 or 4. Let's see, Montreal. Ken goes, "Hey, we're gonna start this award. And we're going to give the guy who wins it $25,000, and $10,000 will go to the charity of his choice." And I said, "Well, that's cool," because we started to get the Cisco's and the Farmers Insurance, and Jeff Daly, the president of Cisco, he's on the call the very first time we're going to do it. And he goes, "I think this is great. I'm so excited about the Adrian Stills Award." My wife said, "What?" It was the divine intervention. Jeff Daly, I'd met him at the Farmers Insurance Classic, CEO of Farmers. And he says, "You represent what we want all our young men to be like." And I go, "Oh, wow." And this award is going to be named after you. And that's how I got started. So I think Montreal Wells won it the first year. And then we just gave it to Mr. Bradham, Michael Bradham, out of Texas, out of San Antonio, Texas. And it's a huge honor to be able to have something like that, under my name. And again, it's just a huge honor. Ken Bentley is the CEO. He calls me the co-founder. Well, I came up with the idea. He's the one that sits on the Tiger Woods Foundation board. He's the one that sits on the Farmers Insurance board. He's the one that knows everybody in Los Angeles because his years of service in the community. And he was a VP for Nestle's Chocolate for North America. Very accomplished guy and loves golf. And he just loves giving back and trying to make a difference. So it's a huge honor. And that's how it all came about, man. Again, I can't make that up. We talked about that in prepping this. When I get to a point where I'm getting ready to get choked up and talking about stuff, I just say I can't make this up because that guy up there, he had other plans, or he had plans, I should say.
Yeah, you never thought it would get to hear from 3 events and what you had. Where can this thing go? I mean, sky's the limit, right?
Well, things are changing a little bit here and there, but yeah, they are. The whole organization is evolving. We have a bigger staff now. Farmers jumped up again, and they did something totally unprecedented. They are taking 25 of their agents across the country, and as guys transition out to make the decision whether or not to keep playing golf for a living, he's offering them the opportunity to shadow one of these agents to consider working for Farmers and eventually being an agent. So it's like, okay, we're gonna now help these guys, these young men and women, eventually transition to something else and be a meaningful, very, very successful person in society. Not only providing for himself and families, but being models for the communities they work and go back to. So Farmers is doing that. Cisco and Jeff Robbins, or Mr. Robbins, has got big, huge plans about getting more. Our foundation is servicing 2,000 kids every year, taking them to do different things, getting them exposed to things they would never get exposed to before. And, it's all because of that little golf ball you and I started chasing, man. It's a crazy thing. It's a crazy thing. Yeah.
Game for a lifetime. And this is like a great book. I mean, like you said, you start running Osceola a few years back, and when you were 7 years old, they wouldn't let you on the course. You were too young. So, oh, Adrian, it's great catching up with you, man. We've been wanting to do this for a long, long time. Some final words. Now, I kind of lead you in this final words. Our studio is in Edwin Watts Golf here in Jacksonville, Florida. You and Edwin himself go back a long, long way. Talk about that relationship and anything you'd like to say to the folks at Worldwide Golf and Edwin Watts Golf.
Yeah, they have been fantastic, Worldwide Golf, and then of course Edwin and Ronnie Watts. My very first high school golf tournament was at Fort Walton Beach Municipal, and they had I guess they'd had the pro shop there for a few years, and I played real well, so I got introduced to him, and then every year he had the Pro-Am. I'd come back up from Pensacola and play in that. I don't think I ever won it. I think I finished second like 3 times. But when I came back to Pensacola and started the First Tee chapter, being the executive director, I had to do all this fundraising. So I reached out to people, the Joe Durant on the Lee Jansens and all of those guys to come up to do the Pro-Ams. But Edwin and Ronnie, Edwin would always give me stuff to use in a silent auction every year. Ronnie had all these prints of fabulous shots. I got some of them on the wall back here, actually. I'll never forget the very first time I went to him and took me to the vault. I got like 10 really nice prints, all framed and stuff. And they said, okay, well, here's the reserve price on it, $250, $500, $700, this, that, and the other. I stage it, we sell all that stuff, and then he said, just keep the reserve also. And he kept doing stuff like that. He kept doing and giving back to First Tee. He had a bunch of shoes, golf shoes and stuff. And I said, how many shoes are we talking about donating? He goes, how big is your truck? I go, well, it's just a little half-ton. He goes, you better get a trailer. And we go down there, we get a trailer full of shoes to give out to kids in their First Tee program. You can't put a price tag on people's hearts and the relationships that you end up. Can't make it up.
Yeah, it's all about relationships.
You can't put a price tag on it, man. I mean, they hugely supportive. If you get Joe Duran on here talking about Edwin and Bill Woodbury and all that other stuff, and yourself included, Bill Grigsby. I mean, how good is that guy? It's an amazing thing. We're all brought together on this planet for a reason, and golf got us closer. So,
50 years ago, we were signing our card off the 9th green, and 50 years later, here we are talking about you giving young men opportunities they never, ever thought they would have. Adrian, always great catching up with you, my friend. Let's do it again. Let's don't be a stranger so far. Let me see you when you're over here in Ponte Vedra.
Love to do it, man. I'm so proud of what you do, and hopefully I'll get a chance to get over there and tee it up with you one of these days.
Yeah, I always want you in my foursome in the scramble. I always feel a little bit younger and more limber when.
Because I'm older and stiffer. Okay. All right, sounds good. All right, take care. All the best, man.
Somebody who worked so hard as a youth, created opportunities in the game for himself, a lifetime in the game, and now he's giving back to others. Again, Adrian Stills of APGA. You can find them on apgatour.com. Also, information on the foundation, APGA. Just some fantastic stuff. The Adrian Stills Award, and also he's a 2008 inductee into the National Black Golf Hall of Fame. Well, special thanks to Adrian Stills for joining us, and to you, our listeners, and we'll do it again next time. We have another episode of the Worldwide Golf Insider Podcast right here at worldwidegolf.com. So long, everyone.